Good morning. It's Ginny, Tim, and Eli. Escanaba, Michigan at DS Tech. And we're going to talk about whether your cybersecurity is up to par. And I'm going to listen, see if my cybersecurity is up to par, right? I mean, we can't talk about it enough to keep you safe. So, what do I got? You want to go to our website, dstech.net, to sign up for our newsletter, where we talk about all kinds of things like this and give you the latest news on cybersecurity, that kind of thing. And I'll think of a keyword drop. So for later, maybe your free security assessment. Drop your questions.
Is it up to par?
Is it up
Could
to
be
par?
like 4 or par or something. For you
Well, if I use something different, I'll forget what it was for. So just put assessment, free security assessment, or whatever. Just let us know in the comments if you want it, and I'll get it to you. I'll get you the sign-up sheet or whatever. So, is your cybersecurity up to par? Is mine up to par?
I don't know. I mean, I hope mine's at an eagle where I'm like right underneath par, doing really good. It's kind of just a general overview. Some different standard practices that, your business probably has integrated, but just kind of a general reminder, rule of thumb. So the number one thing is using weak passwords. So it's very common when someone gets a password or all of a sudden your company's like, well, now we got to change your passwords every 12 months, that you simply add another 1 at the end of your existing password, or you do something like that, which it's easy. I get it. I've been guilty of it myself too.
Password 1, 2.
Password 1, 2, 3.
3.
Exactly. That's not the most secure way to do it. Try to pick a completely new password that's different. And again, using like an uppercase, lowercase symbol, that kind of thing. The length of the password does matter a little bit more, but having some sort of a complex password policy where it's changing and you're actually changing it to something new, not just like summer 2024, fall 2024, password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, very common passwords that everyone uses. Just try to avoid those, use something unique. And then if you really want to take it above and beyond, that's where you can use like a password manager, which can store really complex passwords for you. You don't have to remember them anymore. You can back them up, use them on multiple devices. That's definitely the key to go if you have lots of accounts you're getting into on the regular. So
on password managers, do you recommend any particular ones?
Well, the one that we use here at DS Tech is called Keeper. So we can obviously help get you set up with that if you're an existing client and you're curious on using one of those. Other than that, it just kind of depends what you want. There's all kinds of different out there. We just like to use Keeper because it works well when you have multiple clients and to help manage, and kind of for the MSP world, it works out well. So
absolutely.
Yeah, that's the one we like.
Yep. And so, again, as it said here, your password is the first line of defense. So that's the first thing they're going to try to crack when they get in through that. And then there's some other security measures that we'll talk about later that can also help you if your password does get cracked, to help prevent them from getting into the account.
We could actually talk a whole topic on using passwords.
Yeah, each one of these topics in itself could be an entire episode. So,
yeah.
So
anyway,
some interesting.
You might even look on our YouTube channel and search the content for password, and you might find some previous episodes where we did dive deep into passwords. I know we did with Dave, and I'm sure we did with you. So we probably visited it a couple times.
Yes.
So do that.
Another one that we see often is ignoring software updates, where people just tend to ignore you get on your phone, there's another security update on your Android device or Apple device. Do you want to install now or later? And it's like, I'll just install later. I'm too busy watching YouTube right now or whatever. It's so easy to just delay the update, do it later, keep delaying it. Eventually, you should be installing those. Because you can't just keep pushing them. That's how your device gets out of security compliance. And a lot of those updates are not even changing stuff on your phone. It's literally all security updates under the hood, just patching holes that attackers can exploit.
Well, the worst one is the Windows update.
Yeah.
Like you open up your laptop and ready to work, and it says,
you have an update pending. Restart now or later. You're like, later. Yep, exactly. So biggest thing is to make sure you actually take the time to do the reboots and do the updates. Yes, you may do it later, but don't forget to just keep pushing through later. Actually update it.
Actually do it.
The biggest thing. And with computers, a lot of people and businesses, they get used to, I'm done for the day, shut the computer down, go home. A biggest common thing is you want to actually leave your computers on overnight, because typically our software will only patch during the night hours to help minimize disruption during the day. Because if you're working during the day, you don't want your computer downloading all these updates, trying to install them, doing that, it kind of slows your computer down. We have our schedule to work from, say, like 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. That's not the exact time, but just get the idea, after hours. So if you're always shutting your computer down, guess what? You're missing out on the updates that happen automatically at night. So it's very common. You want to leave your computers on to get updated once in a while, just for that.
You just reminded me. I got to plug in my home PC.
Well, probably hasn't
Because
been updated
it
in a
hasn't
while.
been updated in a while. I think I
Yep.
haven't, because I haven't worked from home in a long time, and I'm
That's it. You're not
actually
evil. You're
scheduled
at
too
par.
soon, so I have to
Yep.
plug it in and let
Yeah, you
it
don't want to get a
update.
bogey on that one.
No.
No.
Oh.
So yeah, the biggest thing with that is I say laptops too. Commonly as a tech, you may have your desktop, or maybe you work and you have a laptop you use occasionally. Usually you'll forget about that laptop, and you finally go to use your laptop 3 months in, and it happens to be in a critical time, and now it's trying to download all your updates while you're trying to work. So keep
Yeah.
that in mind. If you use a
No,
laptop
sure.
rarely, use it a day or two before you actually need to use it, whether it be on a trip or whatever, so that way it can download all the updates, get everything updated prior to your trip, not during the trip. And it'll be a little bit
Yeah.
helpful when you're traveling with
I'll plug it in
laptops.
tonight.
Absolutely.
Number 3 is a lack of multi-factor authentication, or MFA. It used to be called two-factor authentication, but there's more than 2 ways to do it now, so it's multi. So there's usually, it's not common. You might have your password, then you have your first Microsoft push, then you have your duo push, then you finally have your tech. You can have multiple layers in there. So what that means is, kind of as I described, you type your password into an account, email password, and then you'll get a secondary push, whether it's a text message. You might have a program on your phone that has 6 digits that rotate every 30 seconds. There's different ways to do it. Some people have a hardware token, like a badge, if you're in the medical industry, different things to basically be your second layer of authentication, verifying it is who you are. And that's to prevent the attackers from getting into your accounts, which when your password gets leaked on the dark web, lose your email passwords. And without that second layer, they still can't get into your account, because unless you're actually hitting the second layer there, they can't quite get in and help
They
them
got
slow
a
down.
hold of your password this time somehow.
Yeah,
Because
even
it
if they get
was
your password, you're
so good,
good.
even though it was password 1234 or
yeah with
password
the at symbol for the A. You
know.
know.
Yes,
Exactly.
of course.
So yeah, definitely have MFA, and then not just on your email, but anywhere it's possible to be enabled. It's very common if you have other software that you use for your business. It could also potentially be configured to use MFA. And if you ever have the option to set up MFA, don't just be like, oh, I'll set that up later, like your updates. Just set it up now, get it set up now, so that way you're protected and that account is protected.
Every opportunity possible.
Yeah,
Even
Take
like
you a couple minutes
Amazon.
now.
even your personal, like
Yeah.
your Facebook, social media, Amazon,
yeah,
anything,
your
I would
money's
recommend
in
always have
there.
MFA. Especially anything with commerce and
Yeah.
financial and
Yeah.
money definitely should have some sort of MFA on it. Poor email security practices. So again, common things are just being skeptical is the biggest thing. You know, if it sounds too good to be true, when you're going through email, if you know someone's trying to tell you something that, oh hey, there's this new coupon that's 40% off all this stuff here, or hey, your package is going to be delayed, click here, and you're like, I didn't order anything. Well, then don't click the link then if you didn't
No.
order anything. And like we've talked
You're
about
not
in all of our
expecting
other
anything
phishing
from
episodes is
UPS
go
or USPS.
directly to the vendor. You know, if you ever get a notice like that, too good to be true, check this out, go there, go directly to whatever they're claiming. Don't go through the links through the email to verify if it
Even
is true or
when
not.
I did order, because I order from Amazon all the time.
Okay.
All the time, right? So I could get scammed that way,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Click the
Because I
link.
did order, right? So no, I go into my app on my phone, which is installed, or I just go to Amazon.com.
Log into your normal method
Easier.
and
Yeah.
verify, yes.
It's not easier. I'm lying. I mean, it's another step, right? But
But yeah, don't click the links within the
Easier
email.
than getting hacked,
And the same,
right?
same thing with text messages now too. Your package is delayed. Oh, check
Oh,
your
it's
tracking.
terrible nowadays.
You
Don't
know,
do that.
Don't do that. Go to the original
I
source.
know.
One thing you can do too as your business is you can have this training where you purposely are sending fake emails out on purpose to your staff at regular intervals, whether it's once a week, once a month, whatever you determine. We can configure that, and then if they click it, it doesn't actually. They'll say like, you've been phished, and here's a little 5-minute refresher video to watch, things like that, instead of having to actually worry about them not clicking the links and just hoping that they
The
know
training
better.
is good.
The training does do
It is.
a good job because people
It'll
don't
even
want to
show
click
you.
that. They don't want to watch the
Yeah.
videos. They don't want to be called
Yep.
out. The little bit of embarrassment, right? Even
Yep.
the CEOs click the links. You know,
Yep.
everyone should be involved.
I've had to watch
just
those
some of them
movies
you
several
can even-
times.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's been a minute, but there was a fun one where there's the two side by side. You have to determine which one's
Which one's
what's
real,
different
which one's
about
fake.
which.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So
It's good training.
Microsoft
Yeah.
with the zero.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So just think before you click. Again, you know, that's how typically hackers get in. Most of these phishing things will get through the email, whether it's someone getting into the network through a link and maliciousness that way. So
Again, search our YouTube. for phishing with PH,
Yep.
PHISHING, and you'll find several episodes that we
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about it.
Oh, yes.
Definitely. Yeah.
Neglecting your data backups is another common thing that some businesses may try to skimp out on, or say, oh, we got backups with this, or we got the Windows Restore, right? That's a backup, right? No, not really. But so failing to regularly back up your data can be catastrophic if you fall victim to ransomware or other cyber attacks, because the most common way to restore from an event like that is you're not going to pay the attackers for the key to unlock all your files, things like that. Typically, you can try to restore to a point in time prior to the attack. So if you know that they got in there last Wednesday, you would roll back to like last Tuesday, the day before that they get in. So then doing forensics and deep dives, they can kind of look at all that to try to figure out when the attackers got in and roll back when. So having a good backup is really the best way to protect yourself in the event of a ransomware. And then you don't want to just have like, you know, your backup be on like a USB drive connected to your computer. You want to have like the, you know, an offsite backup, or now it's typically in the cloud where you'll have maybe a machine in your office that has a live backup there that's replicated or copied to a cloud system that's separated. So even if your network gets compromised, that backup gets compromised, you have a separated backup in the cloud now that's not touched, that's you can pull back from. So basically making sure that you have regular backups. Test your backups too. Don't just hope that, oh, if something happens, let's go ahead and start the backup now. You know, we test all our backups for our clients too, because you know, a lot of times they'll have little green check marks saying your backup is good, but then you actually go to start up the backup and there might be little issues. So actually start the backup, make sure you can log into it, and then shut it down in a regular interval just to test to make sure that in the event it does work.
Yeah. We haven't done a backup episode in a while.
Yeah, we could probably talk about.
I think we could talk about that.
That would be a deep dive one. That's a good one that we could probably touch on in a while. And the last one is insufficient employee training. It's very common that businesses may have a good training program when someone starts working there. They go through the employee handbook, all this, you know, do this, don't do this, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes they might not even do that initial training. But the idea is to have continuous security training because it's always evolving. Yep, and a good onboarding process. So when you hire your staff, they work through the training, they maybe do some videos, however it's compartmentalized now. And then once they go through that in another 3 months or 6 months, you might have an additional training and a yearly refresher for them to go through too, where it's like, oh, didn't we do this last year? It's like, yeah, you did, but there's some new things. Things are always changing. You need to be up to date and current.
Over
and
9 out of 10 ransomware attacks are due to human error. So
yeah, and training your
you
staff,
might have been
like,
through it before, but you know it's getting
Always
worse.
evolving.
So
yep.
continuing education.
Certain things, you know, like if you don't want your staff, like if they run into the office and all of a sudden they see ransomware, not that they would do this, but they don't want to have them like taking pictures of their computer screens and posting it on Facebook and little things like that, which could get your business in trouble depending on, you know, if you don't need to actually, if you catch the ransomware early enough in it, you actually don't need to report it if there's been no data exfiltrated and things like that. So training your staff on what to do during some sort of an event and to kind of have that not only be at the beginning of when they are employed, but consistently throughout can be very helpful. And then if there is something that were to happen, everyone knows which channel. You know, do you know if you had an event, who you report to your manager? They report to DS Tech. There's usually an order of operations and a chain of command who you report things to. And so by having that laid out and all the staff are aware of it, it also can speed up the response time to a cyber event. If they click an email and they're like, oh, I shouldn't have clicked the email, they can report it to their manager who can take care of it immediately rather than kind of like trying to hide it, which then eventually will find it anyway. And the quicker you can have that be disclosed and actioned on, the less chance of it spreading and actually affecting your network and whatnot. So
And don't be ashamed to report it.
Right.
yes,
It
exactly.
can happen
Very
to
important
anyone,
to report it.
so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, so those are just kind of some general cybersecurity practices.
Yeah. And like I said, we've dived into several of these. The backup one has been a while. I can't remember discussing it with you. I think
And a lot of times with backups
yeah.
too, they think that, oh, I have Microsoft, you know, OneDrive, that's a backup, right? All my files are backed up. It's like, it kind of is, but it's not a true backup because if your password and stuff gets compromised, it is kind of a backup because they'll get into your files too. And so there's actually a backup we have where we could take your Microsoft 365 and your SharePoint and they actually make a clone of that essentially. So that way, if that ever gets basically compromised and they go through those files just like they would to your file server and they ransomware your OneDrive, well, now you have a backup you can pull from that's separated from that as well. So it's important to not just have a backup of your physical computers, but to have a backup of your cloud systems now is even more important than it used to be. So
I think we've started to add that into our packages
I think so. Yeah, we have a lot
Oh,
of the,
yeah.
That
I've seen
Microsoft.
a lot of the cloud
Oh.
backups. That
Yeah.
365 cloud backup is
Yeah.
pretty much standard. I think for almost all of our clients, if you have
Pretty
it, we
much.
would definitely push that because it's, yes, you might have all your files in the cloud now from a server, but that still is just someone else's computer, and you want to have it separated
Yeah.
onto another redundant.
Usually
backup
our
solution.
procedures follow whatever compliance our
Yeah.
clients need, and then we just enforce it for
Yeah.
everybody so that's all the same. So yeah. Anyway, so good stuff.
Yeah.
To just kind of wrap it up, we talked about passwords, we talked about software updates, we talked about MFA,
Yes.
multi-factor
Yep.
authentication, email security, backups, and employee training.
Yep.
So those are the essentials.
Yes.
So
You got those things covered. You're at a pretty good start.
Yes. Yeah. So make it a great day. Go to our website, get your free security assessment. Just ask for it below the video. I'll send you the link if you didn't find it yourself. And we'll see you next time.